Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Ango, and on this channel, I bring you my 2 cents on the latest news and rumors in the world of professional wrestling. In today's video, we got 3 topics: AEW canceling some big plans, Jeff Jarrett possibly starting up a new wrestling promotion, and on top of that, AEW going in a different direction and not signing a released WWE superstar. All of that is coming in today's video. If you guys want more videos, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Now we're going to kick things off, and we're going to talk about the Jericho Cruise. A lot of times people talk about the Jericho Cruise, and they deem this to be a failure. Jericho can argue otherwise. The very first Jericho Cruise was actually a huge loss in money, but as you guys know, it costs money to make money. And, well, it was very interesting. Jericho revealed that they actually had plans to do AEW Dynamite live from the Jericho Cruise this year. And basically, Tony Khan decided to go in a different direction. Now, that's actually a common trend because, again, AEW is going in a different direction in another story today. But it's a common trend because Tony Khan seems to be making decisions that are best for his business. And one decision like this could be very costly, okay? And I think the most important thing people need to understand when it comes to AEW doing a live Dynamite episode from a cruise ship is that more than likely it is going to cost way more money than it would ever make in its return. Now, logistically, I don't know how it would happen. I feel like it would be not only too expensive, but I just feel like it would be a big mess in terms of logistics. And then also another thing that needs to get brought up is we are still in a, well, you know what we're in right now at this time of the world, and there is still a requirement, which I'm pretty sure not all wrestlers would fulfill the requirement. So I think you guys know what I'm kind of getting to with that. So I think those are probably the 3 reasons why AEW has decided to cancel plans. It costs a lot of money. Logistically, I'm sure there's issues. And then there's that requirement where not everybody could get on. And that is a real issue. It's a troubling issue. And I think it sucks because I think a live episode from the cruise ship would be incredible. I think we've seen some really cool stuff in the past. I think if you guys remember, like, this was one of the images. Dynamite on the cruise previously, the first time, this was in the beginning stages of AEW. This was actually pre-taped. And yes, it had some production stuff and there was some issues, some small stuff. But this was actually a really cool, successful thing in my opinion. And one thing that I really took away from that episode, and it's really funny, is Hangman Page is now the world champion. But look at how they set up Hangman Page and Kenny Omega at that time. And that, to me, is something I firmly remember and something I really enjoyed. And I wish AEW would do more of it. But again, it just seems like there's way too many roadblocks. And that's why AEW has decided to cancel those big plans. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Jeff Jarrett possibly starting another promotion. If you guys remember Global Force Wrestling, well, if you don't remember it, I wouldn't blame you. But Global Force Wrestling was a very cool thing. It didn't look like this. No, it looked like this. Global Force Wrestling was something that was supposed to be a big deal, but Jeff Jarrett completely failed with it. And honestly, I wish I can get into the nitty-gritty of why. And perhaps this is something I will be talking about on my new wrestling talk show. But the short story is this. Jeff Jarrett started a new promotion after TNA, and there was just a ton of issues between Impact and GFW. And then Jeff Jarrett gives them, like, there's like legal battles between the two. Well, basically now what's happened is Jeff Jarrett, there is a belief that Jeff Jarrett might have ideas of promoting again. And this is largely due to the free agency that exists. Obviously, the way that we disperse content and distribute things on the internet, you got YouTube, Twitter, and all this stuff. And Jeff Jarrett was talking about this. And he was talking about how, like, you know, back then in 2002, he was a very distant number 2 from WWE. Now it's a little bit different because there's just so many companies and so many small promotions. I don't think Jeff Jarrett should start a promotion, personally. I think Jeff Jarrett should start an indie company. I think that would be really cool. I think Jeff Jarrett having his own indie company, and you could still tape it and still put it on YouTube and stuff like that, maybe even Fight TV. You can do special events every few months. I just don't want Jeff Jarrett to get to the point where he is now taping, you know, GFW Amped, and then he gets to the point where it's like nobody wants it, because that's what was a big issue, is nobody wanted GFW. And then somehow the tape library went to Impact, and then it created issues between Impact and Jeff Jarrett. It was just a mess. I love the idea of more wrestling promotions. I think there should be 100 million of them. I think that's the way the sport and everything grows. I think there needs to be a lot of competition to not only WWE and AEW. And I think that's what makes wrestling really cool. when you look at wrestling right now and you see, ROH is now kind of like going away, this would be a good time for Jeff Jarrett to get in the business. I just don't know if I trust Jeff Jarrett enough to actually do it successfully, but I do trust Jeff Jarrett in the sense of, hey, if you want to have an indie wrestling promotion, bring people in, I think you can do well. I just don't know, after everything that's gone through with Jeff Jarrett, I don't know if this guy can do what he planned to do with GFW, which I thought was really massive, but clearly not. Now we're going to talk about AEW not signing Zack Ryder. You guys remember Zack Ryder? He was released from the WWE last year, and it was probably a blessing in disguise for Zack Ryder himself. We saw him appear in AEW. Now he's on Impact and GCW, and he is taking the indie wrestling world by storm, which is not really a shocker. I think a lot of people are loving the work that Matt Cardona is doing. But one of the biggest things here is that Matt Cardona was actually discussing his relationship with AEW right now, and this was kind of part of talking about WWE and potentially returning. One of the things that he said is that there has been I text with Tony Khan. I had a text conversation with him a couple months ago, but it was nothing like, oh, come to AEW. It was nothing like that. It was just a very nice word about my work and what I've been doing. I've not been talking to WWE. Listen, I love WWE. I love my time there. I'm forever grateful for my time there. The only thing I ever wanted to do was be a WWE superstar. If it wasn't for WWE, I wouldn't have been able to create my podcast and have the time of my life right now. Now, as you know, Matt Cardona is making great money, getting great viewership, getting great attention. The spotlight's on him. I mean, for crying out loud, this guy went to GCW. He's doing hardcore death matches with like Nick Gage. He won the world championship. He's fighting against Effie. The thing is, this guy knows what it takes to get over. And I think for so long there was like the stigma in WWE that Zack Ryder was a disgruntled wrestler. And don't get me wrong, anybody who's not getting the push, they might be a little bit upset or frustrated or whatever it may be. But when you look at Zack Ryder's career in WWE, I don't care what anybody says. I do think it was a successful Hall of Fame worthy career. And I don't think WWE or pro wrestling in general right now would ever have this influence on the internet if it wasn't for Zack Ryder. That means podcast signings, merchandise, all of these different things, I don't think they come out and become as strong as they are and have a strong presence if it wasn't for Matt Cardona doing YouTube and what he was doing before. Now, on top of that, he is not signing with AEW. He's not in talks with AEW. AEW has decided not to bring in Matt Cardona, and this is obviously weird because AEW had brought him in, and at that time when they brought him in, it was only for like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe, if I can remember correctly. It was a very, very short tenure, and I love his work right now in Impact. I think he's doing great. I love what he's doing in GCW. It was just always shocking to me that for some reason, AEW chose not to bring him in. And I think that obviously had a lot to do with fans saying that All Elite Wrestling at the time was All Friends Wrestling. Obviously, because Matt Cardona and Cody Rhodes and Brandy and all of them are friends. So I want to know what you guys think of today's news. As always, Angle's bringing you the latest. I give you my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'll see you next time.